So welcome to this tutorial. As you can see, what we are fitting into our box is a 14 bow tie. So what you are fitting into your box will determine the height, the width and the breadth of your box. So my 14 bow tie is that long, and I'll be making a box that will contain it perfectly well. So the first thing we'll be doing now, as you can see, is putting shredded paper. So shredded paper is what we'll be using to hold our gift inside, to make it look palatable, to make it look attractive, and to make it stand firmly inside the box. So after fitting in the shredded paper, the next thing we'll be doing is to close. So when you close off, so your gift box actually looks like a gift box with the box being closed. So straight to the making process, we'll be needing a hard paper. As you can see, we've gotten our hard paper. So like I said, my measurement will be totally dependent on what I'll be fitting it inside. So I'm using almost 6.5 inches. I'm using 4 inches wide. So, but the thing is, the measurements I'm using is not really that important. The measurement is just dependent on what I'm using. What I'm marking out could be even different from what I want, but I just actually have to know that it is at least 1 inch bigger than what I'll be fitting it inwards in terms of length and breadth. The breadth of my bow tie is 2.5 and the length is 5.5. So my box just got to be bigger than that. So that's just the most important thing. So after cutting out the bottom, which is the base measurement of the whole box, every other part to be cut out will be sorted out from this base, which we've done now. So after cutting this, the next thing I'll be doing is to cut out the top of my cap. The top of my cap, the top of my cap, the top of my box. The top of my box will be like 1/4 inch bigger than the bottom. I know that is almost negligible. What I mean by negligible is the difference is almost not even evident. So first thing I'll do is to just make sure I cut it to be at least 1/2 inch bigger than that. So later I'll be trimming to just make it like 1/4 inch bigger than the bottom. Now that top of the box I'll be cutting out a see-through part, which I'll be doing later on in the video tutorial we're making now. So the first thing I'll be doing is to cut out the excess, which is the top. I'm cutting it in excess because I want to carefully trim it to 1/4 inch bigger than that of the bottom. So as you can see, that's what I've done, and I'm cutting it off now. So after that, I can trim myself. So not to waste our time on the video, we'll just continue the making process. So that being done, every other thing I'll be doing will be focused on the base, which is the bottom of the box. So the next thing I'll be doing is to mark out the base, which is 4 inches. So you know the box I cut for the bottom is at 4 inch by 6.5. So I'm just making sure what I'll be getting will be 2 inches a piece, because I don't want my box to be higher than 2 inches. So I'll take the measurement of the base and reintroduce it down there. So what I mostly like to do is to make sure I'm cutting everything in excess, so I can later on trim everything back to the original size. Because sometimes when you're trying to cut something to the exact measurement, you make mistakes that are irreparable. So I always advise you cut in excess when you're cutting, which is what we've actually done here. Almost everything will be cutting apart from the base as being in excess. So we're only taking note of the height. The height is 2 inches for both sides. You know, the side of this box is 4 sides, 2 opposite sides, not just opposite, 2 equal and opposite sides. So these 2 equal and opposite sides is what we just cut off. So subsequent procedures will be trimming to make sure they are of the same size. So as you can see, those are the two opposite sides. So the next thing will be cutting out the adjacent to that. That's the opposite side of the other side. So instead of wasting my time, I'll just use the height of this initial cut-off part to do justice to the other part, so both of them can be of the same size. So as you can see, before I did this, I confirmed that both of them are of the initial cut was of the same size. So I'm using this one now to cut off the other two sides. So that means everything is of the same height, which is 2 inches. So the next thing we'll be doing will be to cut off. So after cutting this off, that would actually mean we've succeeded in cutting our base and our height. So our box base and our height is what we are actually rounding off now. So after rounding up the cutting of the bus base and the height, the height of the bus has to be in 4 different sides. So we succeeded in cutting 2. Now we are cutting the remaining 2. So we're practically done with that. So the next thing I'll be doing will be to place them so you can see what we're actually working towards. So as you can see, that is what we're trying to get. So for us to get that, there are processes to follow. So before then, I'll be cutting out my see-through. Mind you, this top is already in excess. So I'll be marking out 1 inch on all sides. So after trimming the top to be 1/2 quarter bigger than the bottom, the 1 inch excesses I just used in cutting will probably be lesser. Not probably, will definitely be lesser than 1 inch. So I'm giving the same 1 inch for that side too, and I'll be joining both lines. So the rectangle shape I'll be getting inwards is actually the part we'll be cutting off. And that is actually what will make our box a see-through box. A see-through box simply means a box that you can see part of the content of the box. So when you put something there, maybe something a little bit flashy, and you want the receiver of the gift to see, so use this kind of box. So the next thing we'll be doing is to apply our gum. So and after applying our gum on the base, we'll be placing it on our white cardboard paper. I'm using a white cardboard paper for the inner paper. So we'll be applying the gum on the 4 different heights of the cap. So let's take it again. So the first thing is to open our gum container. Then we apply. Now mind you, while you're opening your gum container, you close subsequent times after applying. So I'm just taking it again to be clear. So after doing that, we'll place it on our white cardboard paper. Now this type of gum we are using is actually preferable because we call it the neat gum. So when you have excess gum on your paper, it don't actually stain your paper. So it's a neat gum. So you do the same on the different heights of your box and you carefully place them. Now when placing them, you place them, there's a space in between every placement you are making, and that space is 1/4 of an inch. That space is what gives it the allowance for it to bend, the flexibility for it to bend. Because if you don't give a space and you're trying to bend, it will tear off that white cardboard paper. So that space is what is actually giving it the allowance to bend. So after doing that, our gum works almost immediately. So the next thing we'll be doing is to start trimming little by little. So as you can see, I started my trimming by doing it ½ inch before our mark point, because I just want to be careful. And after doing that, I'll trim to the exact positions I need. So before doing that, I actually fold it to make sure I get my lines, so my scissors can just go straight with my lines and not cut anything other than what I wanted to cut. So as you can see, the box shape is already coming out. So the white paper is actually what pulls it together, or what holds everything together. The other paper will just be to beautify it. So the next thing I'll be doing will be to be trimming off every excess on the box. So every excess of white paper will be trimmed off. So right now I'm making sure all the white paper attached to the hard paper are totally of the same size. There's no excess anywhere. And after doing that, we'll be getting our exact feel of what the final product will be looking like. So this practical work will actually be needing a lot of gums. So if you have a tape, you can just tape it before you do anything. But we'll not be using a tape. So the next thing we'll be doing is to apply gum on all the heights of the box. So the 4 heights of the box will be applying gum. Then at this point we'll be introducing our red paper we are using. You know, red is actually a color that is mostly used for gifts. Red, white, and black. Especially Christmas period. So I cut my red paper to be ½ inch longer than the box at the top, and also ½ inch longer than the box at the bottom. So that means I cut my white paper to be 1 inch in excess of the height of the box. So if my box height was 2 inches, then definitely my paper was cut to 3 inches. So after that, I'll just place round, which you see I'm doing. So let's say I already held it with a sellotape. It would have been easier for me to just pass the white paper. But nevertheless, we'll still get our desired product. So after passing round, you also apply gum to the part of the red paper that will overlap each other, because the red paper has to be longer than the circumference of the box in terms of round. That's in terms of the round measurement of the height. So as you can see, I'm using my hands to make sure every part of the box is tightly held firmly to the paper, because this paper is actually what holds it together. You know, the white paper keeps every part together, but this red paper is what makes it a unit. It's what brings everything to a firm unit. So after doing that, I've closed up. So what I've actually done now, I've succeeded in using my red paper to hold everything firmly. So the next thing I'll be doing will be to apply gum at the bottom and also at the top. So after applying gum at the bottom, I'll just close up the 4 edges. So I might not be showing you everything, but that's just what I'll do. So after applying gum at the bottom, I'll just close off the 4 edges. Now I'll be using my scissors to chop off like a triangle part of it so it doesn't protrude outwards. So I'll chop off a triangular shape out of the other part too. So actually we are done with the bottom. Now I'm trying to make sure this thing is firmly held together. After that, I also do the same for the top and notch the different 4 edges. So after notching the different 4 edges, I'll apply my gum also. Then I'll bend like that. Now before I bend and it holds, you have to apply your gum, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Now, for people that might be having issues in trying to get your hard paper, just look out for people who do this binding and spiral binding of project works. They use a lot of hard paper in making projects for especially those people in higher institutions doing projects. So just ask them where they get their hard paper from. I'm very sure they will direct you. So quickly, I just wanted to place the bottom of the box even before I do. As you can see, I'm not even doing it carefully as I'm supposed to. But even if you don't do it carefully, take your time to spread it. When you spread it, everything is firmly fit in. There is no lagging. So just take your time in making sure you do it one after the other and not in a hurry like me. So as you can see, I'm bending the red part inwards and it's already giving me the box outlook that I want. So even if the excesses at the bottom is bigger, just make sure the excesses at the top is uniform. So as you can see, the excesses at the top is just half-inch uniform all through. So after cutting out and trimming the top of the cap to be just a quarter-inch bigger than, half a quarter-inch bigger than the body. So the next thing we'll be doing will be to apply gum all through, and we'll be placing it on the white paper too. Now, just like I did for the height of the box, I also cut out the height of the top, which is a little bit lesser than an inch, and I will also be placing them by a quarter-inch distance apart. So as you can see, this whole process is pretty easy if you just understand what you're doing. If you understand what you're doing, you don't really need anybody to give you any measurements. You can just go with your measurement and just work with it. So unlike the box where I was trimming step by step, so I'm actually used to the trimming process now, and I'll just be going for the direct trimming of the white cardboard excess paper. The more you get into your job, the more you start skipping process, because the more confident you get. No wasting time. So you can see we're practically almost done with our job. So the product of what we're doing, you can see. So the next thing I'll be doing is to make my opening. That's my see-through. So as you can see, that's the top. If I place it on the box, that's exactly what you get. So the next thing I'm doing now is to open my see-through. I'll just use my scissors to pierce the notch and make sure there is an excess of half-inch all through the inner opening of the top of the box. As you can see, the half-inch is there, so I'll be notching the 4 edges, so it will make it easier for me to bend inwards. So after doing that, I will apply my gum before bending so it will not sear like the other one is doing right now. So the next thing I'll be doing is to apply my gum. So subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Click the like button if you find the video helpful, and also the notification bell for more videos. So let's go back to our production process. So after placing my gum, next thing I'll be doing will be to just close off. The gum is not actually what you apply and you wait for it to dry off. It works almost instantly. So after placing, the next thing I just do is just compress and attach whatever I want to attach. Now pay attention at this point. After doing this, what we'll be doing next is one of the most vital parts of this box making process, which is making sure the size of the top of the box is exactly fitting to the box, because it's not just having the size to be exact, it's making it easier for you to place. So that's our see-through resistance, so we just don't leave it open. So we'll put that to cover that part. So it's not actually a nylon, it's like a glass nylon. It is not a glass, but at the same time it's not also a nylon. It's strong, it's like a soft plastic. So I'll be applying my gum to the height of the top of the cap, also the 4 different positions like that. Like I said earlier, I want you to pay attention to this part because this is kind of like the most important part. So if you make a box that will have a cover, the cover has to be easily placed and also easily removed when need be. And at this point, that is the essence of the whole making process. So if you make a box that maybe when you place the cover and you turn it upside down, it just falls off, then I think your production process is not actually a success. So after applying gum to the height of the cap, I will place it on the box. Then I will apply my red material on the box. So that is why I say you should pay attention, just to make sure it fits it perfectly. Not just fitting it, the ease of removing and fixing. So anytime you want to remove your box, it is easier for you to remove, and anytime you want to fix the cover to the box, it is also easier. It is also easy for you to fix. So after doing that, I will use my red paper to just overlap each other like that. So with that being done, I've actually gotten the perfect size of the top of my cap. So exactly the same way I did the box, I'll also do for the top. Notch each part and just bend after applying gum. So I'll apply gum for the inner part too. But if I'm to advise, just take everything step by step, do it one after the other. When you apply gum, you will cover it up before you apply gum for the other part. And for this teaching process, I just have to make everything as compressed as possible so the video don't get too long. So after doing that, you'll be covering all the part. I will not be actually showing everything, so you just do everything the way we did for the box, then you turn over and do it for the other part. Remember what I explained, you cut off something like a triangle shape of it so it doesn't protrude. So we've finished that part, so we'll be going inwards too and also bending inwards. So once again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please click the subscription button. If you find the video helpful, click the like button. If you have any questions, go to the comment section and comment, and also click the notification bell so you can get notified when new video drops. So back to our production process. Your hands must be very handy for you to do that. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to attach our plastic glass. So we'll be attaching glass. So after applying gum, the next thing will be to place the plastic glass. Now the plastic glass is not like a paper that would just easily attach itself to another material. You know, the kind of gum that plastic work with is different from the kinds of gum that paper work with. But notwithstanding, since the gum is going to be attached to a paper gum will do just fine. Since the plastic will be attached to a paper gum will do just fine. So after doing that, that's what you get. So as you can see, everything is firmly held together. So the next thing we'll just to put our finishing touch, which is our red piece. So after you cut out the top of the cap, you open the see-through part. The next thing you are supposed to do is to use that see-through part to cut out this red part, which we are doing now. So we'll just be placing it on top, as easy as that, and our work will just be done. So uncovering that part, everything just looks finished, and that's that, and that's the end of our job. So as you can see, that's what we got. Thank you for watching, and God bless.